I'm Jay Taylor. I'm the editor of Jay Taylor's Gold, Energy, and Tech Stocks, and I'm really pleased to be with Chris Taylor. He's the president and CEO of Great Bear Resources, and this is one of the most entertaining, one of the most positive stories that I've come across, at least in a year, up here in Vancouver. So it's a very exciting story. I'm really glad to be able to meet up with you, Chris, and get caught up on some of the most exciting assays I've seen in some time, drill intercepts. So
thanks very much, Jay.
Really good to see you again. You know what, I put you in my newsletter initially because of the constant drill success. I mean, you were a structural geologist, and you were able to identify the structure, and I think it was almost 100% success in terms of hitting the zones that were mineralized.
Yeah.
And you know, they were pretty good. They were really quite good, actually.
Yes.
But not crazy good. Like we've recently just seen crazy good results.
Yeah.
Tell us what the difference is. What's happening now? I mean, the results you've got now have driven the stock way up. I mean, it's just going, you know, it's just going exponential. It's crazy. I don't have words for it.
Thanks,
so it's something called the Hinge Zone. Explain that, and why are you finding such phenomenal grades there, and how far into the future might we expect, or might we hope for similar results?
I guess the answer that I would give to that question is why we're finding these super high grades. It's really the people in Great Bear. So before I get into the geology, which as a geologist I will ramble on indefinitely about, I have to thank Bob Singh, who's our VP Exploration and other director of the company. He's been in Red Lake for many years. This is almost 2 decades of work there, and we have a number of people working for the company that come through Rimini Consulting, and they've worked at the main Red Lake gold mine and at other projects in the area. So the real answer to why we're discovering all this high-grade gold is our people. It's a very good quality people. The geological answer, which maybe is what you're asking me about.
Well, the people find the geology.
That's right, that's right.
And so let's hear the geology.
Yeah, the geology that we are drilling seems to be very similar to the main mine sequence geology that is mined elsewhere in the Red Lake District. So the same kinds of grades and thicknesses of gold mineralization, some of the same rock types that are key there. We're looking at these high iron tholiates that are really only known from the Balmer assemblage, which is part of the main mine sequence. And the structural context, everything else that we see is very much like what you see where we have, you know, historically there's 30 million ounces of gold mined in those types of rocks in the district. So it doesn't look like something that's just sort of similar. It looks very much like what's being mined,
to the famous Red Lake mine, perhaps. Something very
exactly,
much like that.
exactly. And the results that we came out with today, I mean, we were discussing this just before getting on camera, and you had some phenomenal questions. These big regional D2 folds, they're critical for the high-grade gold controls at the main mine. And now we're finding the same type of high-grade gold on our project as well, in the same context.
Yeah, what were some of those numbers, if you'd like to just talk about them a little bit? I'm sure
I always get a bit of a kick. Anytime you drill 12-ounce material right near surface, you like to tout it.
Over a couple of meters. Or
yeah, you know, we had, I guess some of the headline interval that I would emphasize from our most recent results would be just under 2 meters of about 100 grams or so, about 75 meters down. The highest grade that we saw was the highest grade drilled yet on the project, which was 347 grams over about half a meter. I mean, we put a photograph of it up on our in our news release and up on our website. It's just you can see the blobs of gold that occur on the margins of this vein set that we sit. This really big vein system we've now hit as well.
Well, it's really cool that it's close to the surface too. So the cost of getting to it should be relatively low. So
yeah.
Now, can you give us some idea of the potential strike length? You know, how big is this target that you're looking at?
The big D2 fold that we've now started exploring the axis of is it's probably over 30 kilometers tip to tip. It's a very big fold. The axis of it will extend for kilometers.
Wow.
You know, if you look at the point on a unit where you fold it in half, it's not just the tip where the folding occurs that's important. It's the line of bilateral symmetry on the fold. I think that's the right terminology.
Well, you would know.
Yeah, exactly. So that line of symmetry is called
Yeah.
the fold axis. That's extremely important elsewhere in Red Lake for localizing gold grades. And now we're seeing this very robust quartz vein system, which is basically running along that fold axis. And that's what we drilled and released most recently.
So what are your plans? You raised a fair amount of money with this good news. You were able to efficiently fill your treasury, or not fill it, but at least replenish it. And
Yep.
for obvious reasons, people want to find out. You're onto something potentially very, very big.
That's right.
In terms of numbers of ounces, the grades are very high. The structure is considerable.
Yep.
What are the plans now? You must have revised your plans some with these
A little
super
bit,
high grades.
a little bit. We had Rob McEwen come in as our largest individual shareholder. So we recently completed a $10 million placement, of which Rob did 6, and now we have in the treasury about $12 million. So we're going into about 150 drill hole program, about 30,000 meters, which has started already, and will proceed all the way through this year and next year. So it'll generate a lot of numbers. But like you raised earlier, I mean, the project's right off the highway.
Yeah, infrastructure.
The total budget for the program is probably about $5 million out of the 12 that we have. And that's drilling all the time.
It's not like you have to spend a lot of money for helicopters and access and all that.
Exactly. So it's not like we have a budget for Lamborghinis and Porsches and other things. It's all just money in the ground.
Right.
And that means even when we finish drilling, we're going to be sitting with probably about $5 million in the treasury.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Metallurgy, I don't suppose, is a problem. Done any work on that yet?
We don't do directly metallurgy, but it's Red Lake. There's 100 years of mining and processing.
So,
there's nothing new here.
The system is the same.
It's the same kind of mineralization. It
so
looks
that
like
shouldn't be an issue.
It'll be very good recoveries.
Check that box off.
Most likely.
Money, you're in a good. It's just I don't know what's not to like about this story right now.
Well, just everything, we just, we're very happy.
I mean, it's just, one of the few. It's not been a good market for the stock to perform so well in a market that's been lackluster, to say the least. Obviously, when you make those kind of discoveries, the markets will reward you. Now, this is your flagship property, the Dixie project, and you also have another one in the Red Lake area that looked pretty good to me, actually, when I first started following you.
Yep.
What can you tell us about that and your plans for that project?
We have a claim package that's right beside Pure Gold Mining's Madsen property, and it basically covers the on-strike extension of the structures that they're drilling right now. In particular, their wedge zone discovery is literally probably within about 1.5 kilometers of the area of our claim boundary. So I believe they've messaged that they'll be producing a resource before year end on that wedge zone. So the more they drill up next to our boundary, the happier we are. Yep.
So I guess, but right now, obviously, for obvious reasons, Dixie project is where you're putting your emphasis, your energy, and your money.
That's exactly correct. We keep getting rewarded by more high grades, so that's where the focus needs to be.
So what about timing now? What sort of drivers can we, I guess just a constant flow of assays, drill results and so forth?
That's pretty much it. There's going to be fresh numbers into the market. I don't know if it'll be weekly, but certainly every couple weeks or few weeks.
Wonderful.
Going through into the foreseeable future.
And when do you think you might a resource or anything like that? What are your
no sooner than some point next year. We're looking at a really big system, right? I think one of the mistakes companies make all the time is they come to market with a resource before it really characterizes the scope of the system. We have a multi-kilometer high-grade gold system with multiple horizons that are mineralized. I really think that we need to be aware that when we do go to the market with a resource, it's a very attention-grabbing number, and that won't take us long at this rate, but it's not something that we're going to rush to either.
So do you think you'll do some step-outs to give the market some sort of perception of what,
Definitely.
You'll be doing
step-outs, step-downs, infills, extensions. There's a lot of targets we need to follow up on now.
Well, it's a very exciting story. I'm really glad I got it into my newsletter. And I'm really glad I own some shares.
You got it. You got the picture very early, Jay. So
I did.
Kudos to you.
Thanks to the Metals Investor Forum, I must say it definitely is where I met up with you.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you.
It's wonderful. Thank you so much, Chris.
Yep.
Great to
Jay,
catch up with you again.
it's great
All
to
the
see you
best.
again. Thanks very much.
Likewise.
Yep.